So welcome to Seven-Figure Business Blueprint Masterclass. I'm Jason Rosado, distinctivecoaching.com, business coach for 18 years. I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to work with you to show you the system that my clients have used over the years to build their business to 7 figures and beyond. And I want for you to be able to take this information, put it in practice, and see amazing things happen. Sound good?
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks. So just real quick, a little bit about me. So like I said, small business coach for 18 years, also a multi-certified energy and emotional healing master. And I help small business owners to solve the problems of having too much to do, help them to free up their time and energy. I help them to double, triple their revenue, oftentimes move to 7 figures and beyond, which is why we're here today. In doing all of this, they also cut their work hours. They have more time for who and what matter most to them. And that's pretty much why I got into this in the first place. I love seeing business owners thrive, and I hate seeing them not thrive. Hate seeing them suffer, because so much, we have the ability to change our business and run our business and do it the way we want, in a way that brings us great joy, great satisfaction, and great achievements. And I've been fortunate over my career, both in doing what I do now and before in the corporate world, to amass a bunch of different skills, perspective, and experiences, and then fuse that with coaching and with energy healing to help my clients be able to achieve these things. So it's something I'm really proud, feel very blessed to be able to help people do this. So today, like I said, I'm going to teach you the system that my clients use to achieve these results. Because most small business owners are overworked, they're understaffed, they have a lot of stress, and that causes them to lose momentum, lose time, lose energy and opportunity while they are trying to scale their business and have the life that they want. And also another perk today, no selling. I've got nothing to sell. At the end of the session today, if you want to hear more and see how we can work together or take this further, I'll let you know how we can do that. But I'm not, asking you to go anywhere and put a credit card down for anything. So let's move on. All right, today we're going to discover the secrets to 7-figure business growth. And the problem is that scaling business is hard. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that competes for your time, your energy, your attention, your resources. But it's not impossible. So that's the good news. And I just want to jump right in. So the first thing that you need to do to scale your business to 7 figures and beyond, and again, some of my clients get there, some of my clients aren't quite there, and in that case, they do double or triple their business, no matter what size they are, even if they're starting pretty small, they're usually able to double or triple their business within 6 to 12 months. The first thing you need to do is to have a clear vision for your business. And the way that I work with my clients to do this, and this is what I recommend you do, is figure out what is the thing that you are really great at. So you need to know, how to, when I work with my clients, I call it standing in your greatness. Lots of people are hesitant to focus in on that one or two things or whatever it is that they are really great at, that they absolutely love doing, where they get the best results, they get the best outcomes for investing their time and their energy. And this is really important when you're taking a look at your business, trying to figure out, how do I grow? What are the directions? It starts with you. So that's the most important thing. And then everything else goes outward from there. So you really have to know, what is it you want your business to look like? And what do you want to do in it? So when I'm working with clients, one of the things that we do, and I recommend that you do this, is write out what your perfect ideal job description is. So figure out what it is in your business that you love doing, what's going to give you the most return on your time and your energy, and then delegate the rest. Or sometimes you don't even, there's stuff that we're doing. I mean, when you look at the 80-20 rule, right? We get 80% of the results, the things that happen, from 20% of our effort. So when we focus in on those things that we really love doing, that we're really great at, that's when we get the best results. So think about, if you were to make that 20% of effort 100% of your work hours, what kind of effectiveness, what kind of productivity, what kind of results you get. So again, this is really about saying your greatness. What's that thing that you're really awesome at doing? And this might be about the services you deliver. It might be about your specific roles inside the business. So you just want to list out what do you do on a daily basis? What do you do on a weekly basis, quarterly, monthly, yearly? There's some things that you love doing. And that's why I recommend make your job description from those things that you absolutely love doing. And then figure out how to delegate the rest, or like I said, a lot of things that we do and focus on, we don't even need to do them. It's just wasted time. So that's the most thing. Speaking of wasted time, having poor business efficiency, I see it as it's like lighting all of your profits on fire. It's like taking all of your money, all of your revenue, putting it down in the middle of the street, dousing it with gasoline and throwing a match on it. When you're stuck doing these lower priority, lower result-driven tasks, that we do day to day, it's just, we want everybody to be efficient. So that's, we want to maximize our efficiency. And obviously, so it starts with us. We want to make sure we are doing that. And then also when we have team, when we have employees, we want to do the same thing for them. We want to map what we need done in the business to their strengths. So we want them to be focusing on the things that they do the best. And, a way that I always think about this is if I'm doing something that I don't think, or I'm not certain if I should be doing it, I think to myself, is there somebody else who can do this better, cheaper, and faster than I can? And if yes is the answer, then the second part of it, because you could just jump to that and say, okay, great, then I shouldn't be doing it. The second part is, do I absolutely love doing this? Because if I do, chances are the more I do it, the better I'll get at it. And eventually I'll be really good at it. So I'm not saying you have to get rid of everything if you are not the best, because again, it's really important to balance those two things, what you absolutely love doing and what you're super great at, what your superpowers are, your super strengths. So you have to balance that. And if it's something that you really love doing, so maybe it's writing, maybe it's doing some marketing. Yes, you could hire somebody to do that, and you probably should. You should probably get yourself to a level, again, if it's not your super strength, where you are proficient at it enough to know if the people that you're hiring are having results. So you should get to a level of proficiency, but you don't have to be an expert. You can hire somebody else to do it. If it's something you absolutely love doing, then dive into it, go into it with all your gusto, all your passion. You're going to get better at it. Invest your time there, and go ahead and do that and get better. That is what's going to drive you forward. So here's an example from one of my clients, Erica. She's the managing broker of her real estate firm. When we worked together at the time, she had a team of 8 agents. I think she's up to 12 now. There are other brokerages in the area that have 50 agents. And, she could do that. But she realized that having that smaller team of 8 to 12 was really where she thrives. She didn't want a huge thing. And, she had been in business for 5 years when we started working together. She had seen some growth over those years. A lot of her growth were in the areas of, and I'm just doing this from memory, so don't 100% quote me on this, but pretty sure it was like, 20% growth 1 year, 15% growth, 5%. I think she had a year before we started that was like -2%. So it's usually in that kind of like 5 to 20% growth. And then when we worked together, we helped her to focus in on the things that she absolutely loves doing, working with the clients that she loved working with the most, doing development projects that she loved the most, growing her business in the way that she loved the most, which she's a really great connector, really great person, has tons of value to offer, really loves helping people. So we figured out the best way for her to grow her business was to create a networking group for real estate professionals and property developers and people who wanted to do investing and come together and find partners to do deals with. And this helped her to explode her business. We also worked on, again, making sure that she's really focused on the areas of her business that she loves, which was not hand-holding problem employees. And she did have a few of those. So we worked together on, making her employees a lot better, more self-reliant, increasing her confidence as a manager, reducing the amount of work on her plate so she had more time to nurture and to coach her employees and make them, a lot of them saw each other as competitors. And we turned that around so that then they saw each other as collaborators. So they were able to actually support each other and help each other grow. So really putting a lot of team and culture in place. And again, these were things that she really loved doing. If it wasn't, then, like some of my other clients, what you do is bring somebody else in to do that, whether it's a fractional COO, general manager, whether it's full-time or part-time. Well, you want to be able to outsource these things so you can really focus in on what you do the most. And when we did these things, she was able to grow her business. We worked together for 1 year. She grew her business by 214%. The overall, all agents plus her, everyone, the entire firm went up by over 200%. She more than tripled it. She cut her stress. She cut her work hours by about 25%. So she wasn't working a crazy amount of work hours anymore. She had more time for personal endeavors, for her hobbies, for taking care of herself. So these are the kinds of results you can expect, when you do this. So like I said, first, you want to put yourself first. You are the center of your business. Figure out what you love doing the most and what other people can do. Okay. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about me, and then we'll get into some more of the system to grow your business to 7 figures and beyond. So yeah, I love, as you can tell, I love doing this. At least I hope you can tell. Love teaching, love coaching, love mentoring. I started teaching when I was 13 in 8th grade. I taught music lessons. I became an Eagle Scout at 14. And then I was in that same group, I became choir director at age 16. So I was actually rehearsing and directing a full band drum and bugle corps, I think we had 40 people there, brass and percussion. So that was amazing. Went to University of Illinois, studied communications, interpersonal communications, leadership, dynamics, adult learning and motivation, social psychology. So a lot of things, again, to help people move forward. I was a small business manager and partner in a restaurant group, corporate leader and trainer. My last full-time job was training manager at the company I was at. So I was in charge of training from entry level through director level, operations, inside sales, outside sales. And then I decided to enter work for myself. And I went through training at Coach U, got certified as a life and business coach. And then I got certified as a big money business coach in 2014. And then I got certified as an AI business coach. So again, I also love learning more, going, I can always improve myself. And I love doing that. I mentioned before, I'm a certified energy healing master, and I have multiple certifications in that. I'm a husband and father. And love Star Trek, love playing volleyball and traveling internationally. So what all this means basically is that I've got 30 years of experience of serving others, teaching, mentoring, coaching, developing people, developing businesses, departments, whole organizations, 18 years of coaching hundreds of small business owners, got clients all over the globe. And I was named one of the top coaches on the planet by Future Force Inc., which was really cool. That was a great deal. So getting back into our content today to help you move forward. Let's talk about hiring. So like I said before, if you want to stand in your greatness, do the things that you're really great at, you probably need other people to do things that they're really great at. And what I've noticed over the years is this is one area where small business owners and a lot of even managers in the corporate world fall flat. They don't really understand how to hire effectively. So I'm just going to run through. There are 7 points in the system that I've created that I share with my employees and walk them through. I want to share that with you now. I'm sorry, not my employees, my clients. See, my manager brain sometimes turns on. So first thing is know exactly what you're looking for. And we talked about that already a bit. You really have to have down your mission, vision, and values for yourself, for your organization. This way, you know who to bring in. A lot of the reason business owners have trouble scaling is they don't have the right people in place. They have high turnover. They're reluctant to delegate to their employees. They're just, not in the position because they haven't really thought this through. I had a client, Dave, who was the operations manager and co-owner of a physical therapy practice, and his wife was the doctor and also co-owner. And they found me on Google. They were interested in growing. They knew that they had more work than they needed. They needed some help. And I had a complimentary coaching session, which I'll talk about a little bit later, with Dave. And what we found was that he had hired before, it didn't work. They were both really gun shy to hire again because of having these really bad experiences doing it in the past. So we went through the complimentary coaching session, gave him some tools, some strategies, some tips. It helped him to feel a whole lot better, more confident about his abilities to hire staff, to train them, to nurture them, and to have them be high performers. And at the end of the session, he decided he was going to hire me and work with me. And I said, well, what's the first thing that you're going to do to get moving? I was excited for him. I know, hey, what's your first thing coming out of the gate? He goes, I'm ready to hire someone. I said, that's awesome, but do not hire someone. I heard this big enthusiasm. I was like, do not hire someone until after our next session, until we've had the chance to talk about the right way to do it. So there's certain things you need to look for, certain things you need to do during the interview process. And it sounds like you haven't done that, and that's why you've had these problems in the past. He goes, okay, no problem, great. So he shows up to his first session a week later. And when my clients show up to their sessions, the first thing I always ask them is, what were your wins since we spoke last? What good things happened? And he said, I hired someone. I'm like, okay, great, congratulations. Oh boy, all right, great. So, started saying, well, how'd that go? And he's like, oh, it was awesome. She was so enthusiastic, and she knew, she has experience, and it's gonna be a great fit. I'm excited, she's excited. So I'm like, all right, awesome. I thought you weren't gonna hire anyone until we had the chance to talk. He's like, oh, I know, but this came up, and I didn't want to, lose the opportunity. I'm like, okay, all right, no problem. Well, let's work together on how to bring her in the right way and get her going. But just let's go down this checklist. Did you do this? Did you do that? Here's the checklist I shared with him, and most of them, unfortunately, were no's. And you can kind of tell where that led to going down the road. So first thing, like I said, know exactly what you're looking for. So, do an assessment of your own business. What's your mission? What's your vision? And what are your values? And you want to hire to these things. So what most people end up doing is they take a look at, hey, what do I need somebody to do? What do I need? What am I bringing in somebody for? Then they look at the resume. If it looks good, they call them in for an interview. They, ask them questions. Can you do this? Can you do that? Great. What do you think about this? What's your opinion on this industry, or have you done work in this industry before, or in this type of business? How much, do you want to make? Great, that fits up with what we're doing. What are your feelings about working here? Awesome, yeah, I like you a lot too. And then they go ahead and hire them. And what they didn't really look at a whole lot, or at least not in depth enough, is knowing what it was that they needed. So look for aptitudes, look for their experiences and past performances, look for a personality fit. Is this somebody that you want to manage, and somebody who will do well being managed by you? Those are really important questions and things you need to figure out. What are their adaptabilities? What are their growth abilities? So they've done stuff in the past, or they haven't done it. Maybe, maybe there's some stuff that you need them to do that they haven't done before. How likely are they to be able to grow and learn in the position? So, you need to figure that out. What's their long-term fit for their career goals? What do they want to do? What's their potential? How long do you see them being an employee for you? Are there other positions that they can move into in your business? Can they grow as your business grows? So these are all, all the things that are really important. And then what's missing? If you hire this person or these people, and take a look at who you already have, what's still missing from the team, and what do you need done? So what are the gaps? And then look for that. How can those be solved? So again, Dave didn't really do all those things. He just fell in the trap that a lot of business owners do. Can you do these things? Person says yes. They look at the resume. Okay, looks like they have done some of these. Great. Are you a good person? Are you nice? Can I get along? Yes. Is this pay okay? Great. You're hired. But you really need to go through. So the second thing is using a pre-interview phone or video screening. You don't want to just, get a resume, bring somebody in, interview, and hire them right away. Even if you're in a hurry, you want to take the time to get to know them. You want to have time in between meetings to think through what they shared. Is this really going to be a great match for us? Is it going to be a good match for them? So, one way to do that is to have a pre-interview phone screen or a video screen. Ask some warm-up questions, get a feel for where they're at, what their experience is, what they're looking for. Ask some questions that you're going to ask in their interview anyway. One thing in the interview is to use behavioral-based questions. If you're not familiar with that, go check it out. It's really asking people what their experiences were in the past, not so much would they do this, would they do that, can they do this, can they do that? Because people are always going to answer yes to all those things. But if you ask for actual evidence of what they've done in the past and examples and stories and accounts of what's happened, how they've done it, how they overcome challenges, the types of situations that they've faced, problems with their manager, when they didn't agree, all these different things that you're looking for. Ask them for actual evidence and stories. It's harder for people to make up stuff on the spot in those sorts of situations. They can do it, but it's a little bit harder, and you'll just get more facts. And then you can circle back to those questions later and ask more in-depth probing questions as both, getting to know them better and see what their experiences and abilities are, as well as seeing, and I hate to say, but if they were truthful and honest, because you want to know that too. So use a phone screen is number 2. Number 3, this is huge. Facilitate a two-way interview and also be very transparent. So the problem that most hiring managers, and actually I wrote a blog article, and I found some research. Gallup said that small business owners 75% of the time hire the wrong person, which is huge. And I think that's because they aren't going through this process. It's so important to have what I call a two-way interview, which means you are asking questions of the candidate, but you're also helping the candidate to ask questions of you to figure out, is this the right fit for me? If I'm offered the job, do I want to take it? Because what happens is you've got somebody who's hiring. If they fall in love with the candidate, or if they really need this position filled, they're looking for reasons to hire the person. Also, a lot of times people who go into business for themselves were in sales in the past. And so now they come with a sales mindset of, well, especially if they really like the candidate. Oh, I want to make this sound really attractive. I want to make this, me as their boss sound great. I want them to think our company is awesome. So they're kind of going into a sales mode of, I want to sell this person on this job. And the candidate is in a sales mode because they're trying to get an offer. So you've got two people trying to sell each other instead of two people really critiquing each other, and not only looking for ways that this can work, but also looking for ways that this won't work. That's super important. You want to figure out, why would this not work? What are the pitfalls? What are the red flags here for both sides? You don't want somebody to accept your job offer if they have hesitations or red flags or stuff that they didn't even think of or consider because they were just so focused on answering questions, trying to tell you what they thought you wanted to hear so that they could get a job offer. So it's super important to facilitate a two-way interview and be really transparent and honest. Let the candidates know what it looks like to work here, what the job entails, the good and the bad and the ugly, all those things. It's super important. Again, you don't want to paint just the rosiest picture that isn't realistic. You want them to have all the facts so that they can make a best decision if they are offered the job. Best way to avoid a bad employee is to not hire them. And sometimes they can see things that we can't. So, which leads us to the next part. Number 4 is more eyes and ears are better than one. I highly recommend using a buddy system when you're interviewing people. So don't just interview them yourself, interview in a team, have other people interview them. And if it's just you at the top, if you don't have any managers who can interview or other people they'll be reporting to, pair them up with one of your current employees. Have them take a look. Again, this is being transparent. Have them take a look at what the business is. They can ask questions of the employee that they might be afraid to ask you. And so I would do it both together and then separately. Because you want that dialogue, you want that interaction between them. You're not there to guardrail, top classified corporate secrets. You're there to get an honest assessment in both directions of what's going on. Number 5 out of 7 is get the evidence. And I mentioned this before, use behavioral-based interviewing. You need to find out if what they truly have experienced, what their real abilities are, actually match up with what they put on their job application. So you want to make sure that's all good. Number 6, be consistent. So you want to use the same process for all of your interviews as closely as possible. You want to keep accurate records so you can compare candidates. You want to take a ton of notes. While you're doing it, you want to have your questions listed out ahead of time. And then what I do is I just, create a document, leave spaces where I can write in the answers after I ask each question. Yes, you might, depending on their answers, you might ask some questions a little bit differently or go into some areas with one person that you might not with some others, but try to follow the same process and same system as much as possible. And I'm not an attorney. Don't seek me out for legal advice. Don't take anything in this masterclass as legal advice, financial advice, anything like that. All disclaimers. Being consistent in all of your business, including your hiring process, can also help to deter or avoid any legal problems that you might run into with hiring. And then number 7 is practice makes perfect, right? And what my high school jazz band teacher would say, he would actually say, you know what, it's not practice makes perfect, it's perfect practice makes perfect. And then he explained that to us because we're like, what the hell are you talking about? And what he said is basically, the more you do something, the better you get at it, right? And that's what I do. That's the whole reason that I go into coaching, help people to do stuff over and over. It's why I have a background in training. I love helping people to get better with what they do, perfect it as they go. Practice and make sure you're practicing the right things. Whatever you do over and over is what you get good at. So, with the hiring process, with being a manager, with anything in life, if you have a poor foundation, if you're doing things wrong, the more you do those over and over, that's what you learn. So you don't want to do the wrong things, you want to do the right things. And you want to do that over and over and get better at it. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect out of the gate. Whether it's hiring or other things, you're going to get better the more you do it, but also don't fall for perfectionism. Perfect as you go. Just another great way to help build your business to 7 figures and beyond. And yeah, be easy on yourself, knowing that you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to figure things out as you go, and that's okay. We learn a ton from our mistakes, so that's all okay. So that's the hiring system. I hope that's helpful. I trust it is. I've used it myself for all the times I was in corporate. I use it now when I work, and hire vendors and people that support me when I'm delegating stuff. I teach my clients, they use it, and it avoids bringing in the wrong people and helps to really bring in the right people. Super powerful stuff. So I want to talk about building a happy and productive team. So now we've hired the right people, we've brought them in. The next step is now we have a group of people. How do we keep them engaged? How do we keep them productive, happy, and profitable? And I put this slide in just this morning. Daniel Abrahams is somebody I follow on LinkedIn, puts up really, really great content. So I do highly recommend following him. He does digital marketing, and that's his specialty in his area of business. But he does put a lot of really great things about leadership and about management. And here's something he shared today, this morning, 10 things you'll hear in a positive workplace. So number 1, it's okay, we can learn from this. I don't know, but I'll find out. That is huge. That's something I didn't know right away when I started managing. I kind of had to learn the hard way. I always tried to make it sound like I knew all the answers. I knew what I was talking about, even when I didn't. And I found out that it's just better to say, you know what, I don't know, but I'll find out. Same thing with customer service. That's a huge customer service thing. Don't be afraid to tell your customers or your clients that you don't know something. Just say, I don't know, but I'll find out. So huge. Number 3, can I help you with that? Now this one, my whole thing is do the things that you absolutely love doing. Don't jump in to help with everything. And another way this can backfire is with employee productivity. You don't want to be able to help them with everything. You don't want to answer all of their questions directly. So here's another huge tip that I work on with my clients. If an employee comes to you to ask a question, and this is a problem where you have people coming and ask you questions a lot, and this is stuff that either they should know or it's important for them to know because they're going to be more effective. ask them, instead of just answering the question, say, well, what do you think the answer is? And have them tell you what they think it is. A lot of times employees are fearful of sharing, with clients or with customers, or just taking the initiative to do what they think is the answer, even though it turns out they know it, because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to say the wrong things. So they'll come to ask you stuff, and that's totally fine. And I would always say, if somebody comes to ask me something that's, not something that, yeah, I really do personally need to be in on this, I'll say, well, what do you think the answer is? And then they'll tell me, and I'll either tell them yes or no. If it's no, a lot of times I'll say, well, that's not quite it, or that's partially it, but where can you find the answer? And then get them to be more self-reliant, get them to be able to help themselves more, empower them. And if they do say, if they have it right, say, that's right, go. And then they walk away and they feel better about themselves. They're like, oh, okay. So you're really creating this culture of learning and self-reliance. And yes, you're not telling them, you're not going to help them. You are, in fact. So you're still building that culture of support, but you're not helping them, all the time with that. But can I help you with that is great. Obviously you do want to help and be supportive. I feel like when you want to build really effective people, a really effective team, you kind of have to be careful with that one. I'm here if you need me. Oops, that's my fault. Taking responsibility as the leader. Absolutely. So many people don't do that. And it's so detrimental. One of the worst things I've seen, this actually wasn't in a business that I was an employee at, or that I was running myself, but it was a not-for-profit that I was a member of. And the president had a beef with me. And apparently some emails that I was sending out to the leadership team were rubbing people the wrong way. They didn't quite know me as well. And I had experience in this type of nonprofit before, a ton of experience. And so I came in and I didn't think about that. And I was just giving lots of opinions and ideas and best practices, and it was rubbing people the wrong way. And I didn't catch that. So had the president come to me and said, hey, Jason, you sent out this email, or you sent out a couple of emails. I'm getting feedback from people that they don't, they think you're trying to step on my toes and trying to take my power and my position, which I was not by any means. If he had come to me and said this, we could have had a 5-minute discussion and headed off the problem, but he didn't. He kind of kept it to himself, probably because he was feeling intimidated, I guess, or just didn't know how to handle conflict, or was afraid of conflict. I don't know, but he didn't come to me. And nobody did. So before I knew it, they had a whole committee meeting about me, because then he had heard like 1 or 2 other people with similar concerns. So they had this huge committee meeting and got other people involved, and people outside of this organization, but were higher in the national organization. And next thing I know I was being censured, and I was told, don't do this, don't do that, and don't think about running for president for next term. If you were thinking about it, you're not going to be allowed to be on the leadership team, all this stuff. And I was like, holy shit, what, really? Come on. You're not going to hurt my feelings by telling me, hey, you stepped out of line, or you did this, or you did that, or somebody didn't take this the right way. I would have welcomed that feedback. I would have loved it. I want to improve all the time too. And I want what's best for the organization. So trying to be the best, trying to know all the answers, trying to not take fault for things are not good ways to grow. That's not going to leverage you. It's not going to get you to 7 figures and beyond. You need to be humble. You need to be confident in the fact that you are really good at what you do, and that knowing you will make mistakes, and that's totally okay. So number 6, great idea. Let's do it. I trust your judgment. Huge. That's really great. What do you think? There it is. What I said before. Awesome work. Giving people positive feedback. Another thing that's not in here, number 9A or 9B, saying, hey, giving feedback, like negative feedback, feedback to help them grow. That's something that's not on here. It really needs to be on here. Number 10, I'm listening. So you want to do all those things. So one of the biggest challenges, again, in growing a team, having incredible employees, I hear from people from time to time, I'll say, well, what's the biggest problem in growing your business right now? Or what's the biggest problem in managing, running your business and scaling and thriving? And they'll say other people. If it's a partnership, sometimes they'll say my partner. If it's an employee, they'll say my employee. Every once in a while, when I work with corporate folks and not small business owners, sometimes they'll say my boss, my manager. And then they always add on the end of this, but you can't change people, because one, they believe it, which is not true. And two, I think it's a great way to take the onus off of ourselves and put, the problem on somebody else. And here's the good news on that is you can change other people. You totally can. And there's a few ways to do it. One is by opening communication, right? The better you can communicate with them, the better you can communicate expectations, what your expectations are of them. Again, whether this is somebody you manage or somebody you are managed by, or a strategic partner, or a referral partner, a business partner, whoever it is, the more you can express what your expectations are of them, of the business, even of yourself, the better off you'll be. Also, by having good communication, asking them questions, you can figure out what their expectations are of you and help them figure that out. Again, this is the same idea as facilitating that two-way interview. You want to help facilitate two-way communication, two-way conversations with everybody. So not only try to get the information that you need, try to make sure they have the information that they need in order to have a really great working relationship with you to get the most out of it. So that's the first way, is by opening communication. The second way is by clearing the emotional triggers and struggles that you're feeling by this person who's, making life difficult for you, making life difficult for your team, making business harder, whatever it is. You want to be able to clear those emotional blocks, because when you can let those go, all of a sudden your creativity, your perception, your awareness, your ability to communicate, those are all heightened, those are all increased. And then your relationship gets better because of that. And not to go too crazy woo-woo on you, but there is something to this too that I've seen over the years. When you clear emotional blocks or energy blocks inside of you, and again, this is something that I work on with my clients all the time, people change. It's like there's an energy vibration or frequency that we emit. And I've seen this. To me, it's still, I've been doing this energy healing and emotional healing for 11 years. I've seen amazing things happen to people very quickly. Clients, just people who I meet on the street, friends, family, resolve emotional things that they've been holding on to, subconscious things, blocks, fears, procrastinations, and physical things too. Upset stomachs, migraines, aching joints, getting rid of colds, flus, sprained ankles, all kinds of different things. But the point is, when we clear out these emotional blocks in ourselves, other people change. You don't even have to speak with them. They don't even have to know that you've done anything. It's just amazing. It's 100% amazing. So one of my clients, for example, was having a lot of problems in her marriage. And she had 2 teenagers, and they were giving her a lot of grief. So she's a business owner. She was the top producer in her firm. She was the owner. She was the manager. She was wearing a ton of hats. She was stressed out. And on top of all that stress, her home life was not very good because she was having, these bad relationships. We did some energy and emotional clearing for her in one of the sessions. And then I said, things should be a lot better when you go home tonight. Now, does this work 100% all the time on everything we try? No, it doesn't. Are there improvements? Almost always. And then it depends, how deep the problems go. There are different layers of emotional stuff that we need to work on sometimes. Sometimes you see fast results right away, and that's awesome. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But we cleared a whole bunch of stuff about the relationships with her husband and with her kids. I said, when you go home, I'm curious to hear, next week, what happens. And so she came back to the session the next week, and I said, what were the wins and challenges? And she said, yeah, I couldn't believe it. When I got home that night, well, 2 things happened. First, I was in the middle of like World War III. My husband and my kids were going at it, and then they started attacking me. It was like worse than it's been in a really long time. And I was like, Jason, you told me you helped fix this stuff. What the hell? This is not good. And then she said, but a couple hours later, things were so much better, way better than they had been. And the rest of the week continued that way. Things were so much better. I said, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you, sometimes when we clear these things, there is short-term turmoil because you've let go of things that, you've built up ways that you are reacting to other people are reacting to you. And when you clear those out, now there's a new you and you are vibing different to them. You're giving off a different energy. You're saying different things or just coming across differently. And their subconscious is trying to figure out what's going on here. And they start getting rattled, without even noticing it, and they can flare up and lash out. So that does happen. But once that clears and that dust settles, things should be a lot better. She said it was. Things were so much better. So anyway, clearing out emotional blocks is huge. So how to nurture a high-performing team? Well, we already talked about how to nurture people individually, how to bring them in, how to work on yourself. Creating a culture of high performance, of great expectations, of supporting each other is really, really important. And I want to share with you sort of this case study, which points to this. There were some other things Nick and I worked on together as well. Nick is a co-owner of his acupuncture practice. And the problem was he was starting and stopping various marketing and networking activities. He would get excited about something that he'd come across, whether it was a new system that he read about or a new program that he bought, and started doing it, but it wouldn't work. He would get discouraged. He would get down. He would quit. And then after a little bit, he'd come across something else, do the same thing. It wouldn't work, get discouraged, get down on himself, quit. And all the time, he really needed to grow his business. He needed some cash flow. But as he was going through this, things were actually obviously getting smaller. This is before we worked together. When we worked together, what we did was help him because he did have a small staff. He had, so his wife is a co-owner. He had, I want to say 2 acupuncturists, a massage therapist, and an admin person all working together. So when we worked together, what we figured out was, all right, not only can you get better at networking, at marketing, at figuring out the right things to do at the sales process, you can also leverage your team and help them to see opportunities to help grow the practice. Because right now, they're just thinking as employees are like, hey, I come here, I get patients, I work on them, I go home. And that's okay. If they're okay with that, you're okay with that. But there are more opportunities here. You can get them to see how they can help grow the business and how that helps them, right? So again, nurturing a high-performing team, you always want to let your team know, whether it's individually one-on-one or as they come together, how can they help? How can they feel ownership in what they're doing? How can they feel like they're contributing beyond their daily tasks? How can they be part of that mission, vision, and values and live those values every day? If your value is to help other people, which a lot of us are, not just acupuncturists, how do your employees live that value every day? How can they help other people? How can they make a big difference in the world? Just by helping the people that they help. Even when they're outside of work hours, how can they bring the work world, and again, not to burn them out, not in a way that's going to make them feel like they're working and doing more hours and not getting paid, but in a way that feels really genuine to them, really helping, really empowering to them. And how can they help grow the business in turn? And the more business maybe they can help bring in, you can give them bonuses for bringing in people, for clients and customers. You can give them incentives. There are different things. You can teach them some networking things, because if they are there, they love what they're doing. If they're an acupuncturist or a massage therapist, they really love helping people. When they're out and about, they should need to know what to listen for, because they can help more people, and maybe one of their goals is to go and have their own business one day. Maybe they don't want to stay working for you forever, and that's okay too. One of the best ways to go back to that slide, nurturing a high-performing team is helping people to achieve their goals, their work goals, their career goals, whether it's to stay with you and go further and further, or if it's to go out on their own, or to go to some other firm that they're really excited about. As you help people grow, they're going to love you for it. They're going to stay longer. So it's funny. It's kind of counterintuitive. The more you can help your employees grow and be really great at what they do, the longer they will stay, the harder they will work, the more fulfilled they'll feel, the more productive they'll be, the more your business will grow. and you'll have great relationships while you do it. I'm going to skip over, in the interest of time, skip over Lucia, but I'll share real quick. This is just going back to that idea of knowing what you are, how to stand in your greatness. Lucia started working with me. She had 3 niches and very few clients. She was an interior designer, a professional organizer, and a professional stager. And her one love was interior design. And that was the part of the business that was making the least money. She had like almost no clients. The other 2 were supporting the business more, but she really didn't like those. Those were not her passions. So what we did when we were working together was help her to narrow down to one niche. We really let those other 2 things go. And it was really hard for her because she had such a huge fear. You know, those are the 2 things that are bringing money in for me right now. If I let those go, I'm going to be out of business. Jason, I can't do that. I said, well, hold on. Yes, you can. And you're going to be better for it. But I hear you. I understand the fear, the worry, you know, the anxiety in your voice when you talk about it. Let's work on clearing those emotional blocks. And so we did that. And once we did that, we, you know, then helped her to really clear her vision, see how the interior design thing could really take off for her, how she could do a fantastic job. She could increase her fees than what she was charging now, get more work, be a better networker, better referral partner, and then she could actually bring on people to help her and grow her team. So she did all of that. And in 6 months, her business completely took off, completely turned around. She started hiring assistants, getting people to help her, and it was just amazing. And Greg, who's a property developer, with this, it wasn't so much about growing his business, but he was working 80 hours a week, and he wanted to work just 2 hours a week. And when we met, he actually found me through a Google search. He ended up hiring me. And based on everything he had shared with me during that upfront business breakthrough coaching session, I said, Greg, you've got a great foundation here. You know, you told me you've been working on reducing your hours for 6 months with 0 headway. I actually think you can get this done working together, and we can do it in, I want to say 2 months, maybe 3 to be on the safe side. You've got a great foundation in place. I think you have more than you realize. And it's just working on some leadership skills for yourself, some confidence in yourself as a leader, and then finding who you have already, which one of these top employees should move into a general manager position and then take things over. And, you know, I think we can get you there. So we worked together, and we actually did this in just 1 month. It was amazing. I was so happy for Greg. He was able to cut this and then really focus on other areas that he had more passion about than his property development business. So again, it really just goes to show you what you can do. Simona just opened up her 2nd location. We started working together a year ago. We worked together for 6 months. She had been stuck, plateaued. She had been in her business for 13 years. She has a waxing studio here in Chicago. And I caught up with her a few weeks ago to just check in and see how things were going. And she said, it was amazing. I called her and she said, Jason, remember I said I want to open multiple locations. That's what we were working towards, but I needed to get my employees into the right place so they're more productive. I needed to create more profit in the business, so I had the assets to do this. I said, yeah, absolutely. And we, you know, when we started working together, we put together this plan for her to open multiple locations. And again, we worked together for 6 months, so we got her part of the way there. She hadn't opened them yet. She said, I'm standing right now in the 2nd location. I'm talking with the interior designer right now, and we're having our grand opening in a month. So our grand opening was 2 weeks ago. It was either 1 week or 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks ago. I wanted to attend. I said, let me know. But unfortunately, I had something else. I couldn't go. But just, oh, man, so amazing. So happy. So anyway, there's, you know, I'm not going to go through all these client success stories. You get the idea. So when I work with clients, you know, what they usually see is their business revenues increase by 50 to 300%. Oftentimes they double or triple within 6 months to a year. And many lead to 7 figures and beyond. They get a reduction in work hours, amount of work that they're responsible for. They have more time, more energy, more clarity, you know, more openness for new business activities. They start new businesses. They have more time for their friends, for their family, for their health, their social lives. I absolutely love doing this, and I want to help you do the same. So this is, if you know, some of you are current clients now, and we've just recently done this, and that's awesome. If you're not a client yet, or even if you've been a client in the past, but it's been a while since we've done this, I want to offer this to you. I mentioned that free business breakthrough coaching session that I went through with all these other past clients who got these amazing results. I want to offer this to you as well. Normally, I charge $500 for this when I have a full client load, but right now I don't, which is great. I love having clients who don't need me forever. That's the idea. I want to help them. Oftentimes we work together for like 3 to 6 months, sometimes a little bit longer. It just depends. Earlier, I shared Erica, who worked with me for a year, but that was, that was a handful of years ago. And as I've gotten better and better at this, the amount of time my clients need to achieve success has gotten smaller and smaller. I typically work with clients now for 6 months. So anyway, during this, it's phone-based, the coaching session. The few things we want to do is help you to define and clarify what your perfect business, your team, your support, your income, and your lifestyle look like for the next 12 months and beyond. The extra E on like is no charge. That's just my gift to you if you're looking at the slides. Second thing is I want to help you to uncover the challenges and the hidden blind spots that could be holding you back or even sabotaging your efforts to get to where you want to go. Next is we're going to help you to create a motivating and energizing 3-stage plan to move forward over the coming year to achieve your goals faster than you thought possible. And then I want to help you to leave the session feeling renewed, re-inspired, re-energized about seeing your business bring you everything that your heart desires. So, people can make huge jumps in short amounts of time when they have support, usually much more than they realize. And on the flip side, even when they don't have support, they can still make great things happen, and that's awesome. It sometimes takes a lot longer. I'm a big believer, if you put in the work, you put in the time, and you focus on the things that you love the most and where your passion is the most, you will be successful. And getting support and working with somebody who's been there and been through it is going to help speed up that process and help you avoid costly mistakes, as you go. But I do believe in everyone's success. It's a matter of time. And, I'm here to help you get a jump start on this process. If after this session, you feel like there's a good fit for us to work together, you want to see what that looks like, and I agree, and I know that I can help you to knock it out of the park, then I'll ask you if you'd like to talk about the options of working together. If I don't think it's a fit, or I don't know if I can help you, I'll let you know that, because I only like taking on clients that I already know this is going to work for and really help. So if you'd like to schedule that free business breakthrough coaching session, go to this website, distinctivecoaching.com/session. Go ahead, book your time. The session, like I said, it's on the phone. It takes about an hour, and I ask that you block out 90 minutes. Just make sure we have plenty of time to talk about next steps for you. And as a bonus, for the first 5 people who book this session with me, I'm going to give you the business, income, and strategy planning worksheet that I give my clients. So this is the same template worksheet that simplifies their vision, their goals, gives them time-bound action steps, monthly objectives, helps them break this down so they know exactly what areas to focus on as we go. So again, this is for the first 5 people who book. Go to distinctivecoaching.com/session. And I can't wait to work with you, support you. I'm excited for you. I hope this was really, really valuable. And let me know if I can answer any questions. Would love to hear from you.